Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss the upcoming by-election this week in Batley and Spen, why it represents a complete shambles for Labour's political savvy so far, whether it will inflict more harm on the party's ability to get ready for the next general election, but also if there's just a chance that although this loss be embarrassing, it could lead to a sequence of events that is just what Starmer and Labour need to come out fighting in autumn. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I've made any secret of the fact that I've been somewhat disappointed with Keir Starmer in 2021. 2020 went perfectly to plan, and I had high hopes for this year. High hopes. It just never happened. And sure, the polls right now, yes, they reflect the news of the vaccine as well as the easing of lockdown. And absolutely, the Conservatives will experience the other side of that polling coin if they mess it up in autumn. And they will mess it up in autumn. But Labour can't really afford excuses. I mean, they are valid excuses, but what if there's a similar set of circumstances in election year? You can easily dismiss the first half of this year, it was down to this and it's not election year, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. What if it is an election year? What if something happens in election year that mirrors this? You can't just dismiss an electoral defeat on things outside of your control. The media, party infighting, a ruddy virus. It's really this simple for me. And it's always been this simple, but it's much more so now. When the Conservatives win a general election, people lose their jobs, people lose their rights, and people die unnecessarily. That's what happens. That's how important general elections are, and why I have no time for Labour leaders who do not regard them as absolutely crucial. A general election loss has to be seen as not just a defeat. Oh no, we need to redouble our efforts and do better next time. It has to be seen as a catastrophe, an absolute epoch-ending calamity. Where I think Starmer has been chiefly going wrong is in two areas. One, he's had the wrong people coordinating strategy. Now that's an issue he had with his predecessor as well. This has been obvious. Labour have got things wrong this year. In fact, I can't really point to anything they've got right this year. Starmer himself has done the job in PMQs. Absolutely superb there. That's his arena. Brilliant. But he needs to make a wider connection. Not everyone watches PMQs or even the highlights. Now, there is hope here. And I don't just mean he's changed a few key positions. He has done that. And we can say, well, the last ones were poor. He's changed it. Well, that's good. It at least shows that they're aware that it was poor. Absolutely essential. But it doesn't prove that he's got the new appointments right. It's no good replacing people that weren't doing the job with more people who won't do the job. But I am seeing reports in the last week that it's having a positive impact already. Because I'll tell you the most deflating thing about the 2019 general election campaign for me, beyond the results, it's when the leadership announced, remember the day they announced the plans for the national broadband policy? Not because it wasn't a good policy, but because no bugger knew about it. Corbyn's own front bench had prepared that morning to go out and talk about healthcare and the NHS. And then someone advised Corbyn to spring this broadband idea. Oh, we're doing badly in this campaign. Right, well, let's announce this. And it caught everyone by surprise, including his own front bench. Absolute chaos. A campaign needs to be slick. Everyone in the team needs to be fully coordinated. At that moment, I knew that they were just making it up as they went along. There was no plan. Or when there was, it wasn't communicated to even his front bench. It was just that inner circle. It was changed on a whim at the last second. Fatal. This hasn't improved under Starmer. That element of things hasn't improved. Members of his front bench haven't been coordinated properly. And I'm hearing that this is now changing, which is all to the good. I was saying to my partner, Labour need a Malcolm Tucker. Maybe not quite so rude and obnoxious, but someone who gets people together, cuts through the crap and says, right, this is what we're doing. This is our position on this. Make sure everyone knows. Everyone knows. The second issue, I think, with Starmer is there's no signs yet that this is improving, is that he's trying to get everyone on side. You know, like I say to my students who might be stressing, the good ones, you don't need 100% to get the top grade. It's nice to get 100%. I always like it if a student gets 100%, but it's not necessary. And it's much more true in politics. You can't please everyone. Starmer has actively sought not to annoy any groups. He's tried to be on everyone's side. The result is that he's on nobody's side. The hard left attack him because he appoints those on the right of the party or who worked for Blair to key positions. But those on the right of the party attack him because he's also appointed those on the left to key positions. You know, they're never happy with the appointments they approve of. That goes under the radar, and they attack the appointments they don't approve of. He's trying to appease the Lexiteers by not attacking Brexit, even though that is the obvious thing to distinguish yourself from the Conservatives. Talk about healthcare, the Conservatives will promise to do twice as much. Talk about policing, the Conservatives will promise to do twice as much. Talk about defence, talk about education. Doesn't matter what you talk about, the Conservatives will promise to do twice as much. They won't. That's why they promise to do twice as much, because they don't intend to deliver. Labour's promises on all of those things always seem lacklustre because they're actually coming up with realistic plans that they're going to put in place. You've got licence to make it much grander if you don't intend to follow through on it. Brexit is the one hill the Conservatives will not touch. Will not touch. The problem is that in doing all this, in trying to appease everyone, he pisses everyone off. Basically, he needs to start a fight. That seems to be the general view. It's not just my view. I share that view. Take an issue on. It means upsetting people. When you take a stand on something, you upset people. Upset the people who want to bring him down anyway. Upset the people you can't win over. Frankly, go up to Brexit and punch it in the face. Beat the crap out of it. Who's going to be upset by that? The Lexiteers. They want to trigger a vote of no confidence in him after this doomed by-election anyway. Go for it. Brexit supporters in the Red Wall. Brexit's voting supporters. They're voting Tory, or hadn't anyone noticed? At the end of the day, Starmer is trying to bring people together, but there are some who are resolutely refusing to stand shoulder to shoulder with him. So they've chosen to be his opponents, so he should be theirs. He cannot win a general election by trying to be a slightly mad version of the Tories. You know, he can't just come across as more credible than the Tories and that'll do it. Now, I gather that even Labour MPs are saying that he needs to pick a fight. That's good. That means he's hearing this advice. I saw someone say that this Friday might be instructive. Basically, the by-election in Batley and Spen is going to be a bruising affair. There was something I didn't appreciate. See, when I looked at it, obviously, this is not a constituency I'm really familiar with. So when it was going to come up as a by-election, I had a look at it and I thought, 2019, because there's a lot of these northern seats, it's like we know that the Conservatives would have won even more, but the Brexit Party split the vote with them. So I had a quick look. The Brexit Party were active there, but they didn't get that many votes. So I thought it wasn't a big win for Labour. It was a bit close, but it was a win for Labour, even if the Brexit Party hadn't been there. I'll tell you one thing I didn't appreciate. Although the Tory vote wasn't split much with the Brexit Party, it was split with a right-wing independent candidate. He got a lot of votes. Well, he's not standing this time. I didn't clock that. What that means is, everything else being equal, Labour would have, if he hadn't have stood, 2019, Labour would have lost it then anyway. So it was another one that basically had flipped to the Tories in 2019. Without anything else in on there, Labour's lost this. They already had a small majority. You add up those thousands of votes the other guy got, and the right-wing vote was split last time, not this time. Curtains. But it's worse than that, because George Galloway, who is one of those right-wing fascists that convinces people he's on the left. You know, it's a little bit like the posh, privately educated spivs like Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson, convincing people that they're ordinary people. Oh, yeah, wear my cloth cap. And what? But anyway, Galloway is going to split the Labour vote, and very badly as well. Very badly. It's infuriating. So all things considered, and I don't know what any reliable polls, if there are any, are saying it's really not worth my effort looking at it, particularly at this late stage. It won't be good. Labour are losing this. It's another by-election that shouldn't have taken place. Hartlepool should never have taken place. I'd said that before. Yes, they had to take action against the MP. Had been naughty. What they should have done was say, look, we're going to have to take the whip off you, but don't resign. You know, stay as an MP, as an independent MP. That way, they're taking a stand against what he did, but at the same time, they don't trigger a by-election. In this particular case, they shouldn't have, you know, the previous incumbent ran for and won the mayoral election, for those who don't know. Fair enough. Don't blame her for it. But it just wasn't wise for the party. And that's another problem for Labour. That's 2 by-elections this year for them that they're losing. One's lost, the other one's going to be lost. And that those already ranged against Starmer are going to use as ammunition. Now, if Labour had a strategy group that was politically aware at all, they would never have allowed those by-elections to take place. They would have done everything they could to stop them. Hartlepool, I believe they could have prevented. They would have needed the previous incumbent to be on board with it. The latest one they could have just blocked. There was no need for either of those by-elections. Now, like I say, he has changed some key people in the team. It might be that the crass stupidity that existed before has been swept away. I really hope so. Time's ticking away now. Time is ticking away. It's a year and a half since the general election. It may only be 2.5 years before the next one. We've got to get moving. Labour needs to start powering up. And they can't wait till next year. It needs to be this year. It needed to have started now, but it needs to be this year. So one big thing will be, how will Starmer come out on Friday? Now, Dawn Butler, with whom I'm very disappointed, I have a lot of respect for her otherwise, has already said that she will trigger a leadership contest if Labour lose this by-election. She won't. It's possible that there are the numbers to trigger a confidence vote in Starmer, but if you look at those who are just basically been anti-Starmer from the start, there's not enough of those. They need a few others. They may get a few others. So they may have just enough to trigger a confidence vote, but he will win it. There's no issue there. He's not going to be brought down by this. He has the time. He's going to be given the time by his MPs, but he has to make better use of that time than over the past 6 months. But what does he do on Friday? How does he react? And he's got time for this. This isn't, as far as I can tell, this isn't close. They know they're losing it. They've got the time to make sure he gets his reaction just right. Up until then, he has to behave as if they've got a chance of winning it. He has to. Soon as it's lost, he has to go straight into how he reacts. After Hartlepool, he went, we need to do more listening. Yeah, we've lost the support, blah, blah, blah. Useless. Useless. Has to come out and pick a fight. Will he do that this Friday? People don't want to hear that he's listening, because that just implies he has nothing to say. Don't come out and listen. Come out and make people listen to you. That would be my message to Starmer. People haven't got anything useful to say anyway. Why would you listen? We've voted for and continue to vote for policies that are destroying our nation. Stop listening to those people. And I don't just mean, they're making our country crapper to live in. I mean, they're literally destroying our nation. It may not exist before Labour get into power next time. Start saying something that puts us back on the path. But that's where that confidence vote comes in. Now, it sounds like it'd be a really bad thing, very damaging, just at the time when the government are unravelling a little bit. Matt Hancock's removal, absolutely open wound for Labour to start poking at it, and instead they're squabbling amongst themselves. It sounds terrible. Might not be a bad thing. I wouldn't mind a confidence vote being triggered, and for Starmer to then easily win it. It might just jolt him into action. Obviously, if he only just won it, that would be ruinous for Labour. Labour are finished at that point, because then you're going to have massive amounts of infighting. You've got, you'll have 2 big factions against each other. Fatal. And I'm not going to hope he loses, because no matter how disappointed I've been with him, there's no credible alternative. That is the sad state of affairs in Labour, but it is the state of affairs. But 40 Labour MPs triggering a confidence vote and then being told to sit down and shut up by the rest of them, nice little boost for Starmer, for the party, who can then get on with his summer plans, and he does have summer plans, which are hopefully decent, and then the conference, which will be his first physical conference in September. And if that goes well, there's hope. But he has to take taking a stand on some issues. I think he has to recognise that an essential part of politics is pissing people off. It's not a pleasant view of humanity, but here's the thing. You don't rally people around you with common cause. You rally people around you with common enemies. Find the enemy, identify them, point them out and attack them. And then the people who also identify those as the enemy rally round you. That's how it works. It's disappointing. It's a very negative view of politics. That's what it is. Now, my preference would be this extreme Tory Brexit. It's obvious. But at least start with something. Start with something. And start this Friday. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.